Ah, so close. All right. The reason I record the meetings, and I should tell you that too, in case you don't want to put your face on the screen, because I know that it shows up, but you guys would be the only ones seeing it. I can't imagine some odd people would tune in to a YouTube channel about a history class, but you never know. But I post in case you can't make it to class, or I say something particularly brilliant and you think, I've got to hear that again. But yeah, that's probably not going to happen, is it? So I'm Jane Sedna, and I teach U.S. history. Your class is 1301, which is the first half of U.S. history. And you don't have to have it for dual credit, but every college degree in the United States requires U.S. history. And I think sometimes, even though a lot of you, your parents have gone to college, for some reason they don't want to talk to you about their college days, probably because they were a little rowdy or something. And they forget to tell you that even though you think, man, college will be fun because all I'm going to study is math or science or the stuff that's going to make me wealthy, not US history. Every college degree has a year or two of pretty basic classes that include stuff that you don't really want to take. So sorry if this is one of those things, but this will help you get ahead in college because it is college, right? So it's not dual credit. So good job. I also know most of you are probably seniors, which means you're incredibly motivated, especially the second semester. And it's like, yeah, this is going to be the semester I work the hardest. So, but some of you, yeah, it will be. And you're getting ready to go off and hopefully go off in person and do your thing. And this will get you one step closer to having fewer classes all at once, which would be nice for you. All right, let me find the syllabus, see if I opened it properly. There it is. Okay. All right. So, first day, we typically go over the syllabus to make sure we're all on the same page. Oh, I already see the first typo. Do you see it? The 1607 thing that I may or may not go back and fix that. That kind of is endearing to have an occasional typo. I'll probably change it. And I don't know if you have printed this, but at some point after we go over the syllabus, I'll try to show you, if I'm smart enough to do it, um, where you can find all of this stuff on the Blackboard page. Maybe we'll do that. We'll see. Okay. All right. So it's supposed to be 1607 colonization to 1877. And 1607 is Jamestown, but we'll actually talk about, won't start on the day that some pilgrims showed up at Jamestown. No, pilgrims didn't show up at Jamestown. Yeah, some guys who wanted to make some money. Pilgrims show up in Massachusetts. Oh my goodness. All right, scans competencies, that's just a list of skills you need. You'll read and you'll write. That's mostly it. Occasionally, I might ask you a question out loud, but that's mostly just to see if you're still paying attention. So if you say something dumb, it will be fine. I will do that many times. And yeah, that'll happen. And your writing should be formal writing. It doesn't mean it has to be perfect. I'm not going to count off for spelling or grammar or things like that. But I may occasionally correct them because in a previous life I taught English, not a previous life, the first 2 years that I taught high school, which I taught for a very long time. Mostly I'm going to lecture, so sorry, or yay, either way. But I've put a bunch of stuff online too that hopefully will help you. Um, we'll have meetings by Zoom. You're used to that now, I'm sure, and thrilled to get to go to Zoom meetings all day. I have 3 a day on my class days, and that's usually enough. And then usually 1 at night where we could talk about some Zoom meetings we had during the day, which is cool. Um, and you clearly have the Zoom meeting link. We'll use the same one every time. And if you lose it, it should be posted in an announcement and on Blackboard. And I think I've left it there so it'll stay the whole time. And those announcements go to your ACC email, which you've probably already noticed, and that will be the way that I communicate with you is through ACC email. I forgot to tell you too. Typically, college professors have an office hour, and that's where we sit in our office and no one comes to visit us. So I don't, we don't really go on campus now, and you wouldn't come to visit me anyway. And of course, for a dual credit class, or sorry, it's not dual credit, but the credit, uh, well, it is kind of, for one on a high school campus, we would go to the high school campus. They wouldn't let me anyway, but I'm not going to your campus. So if you ever want to talk, the last 30 minutes where we're supposed to have class, the till 10:10 thing, I'll be available if you want to stay after and talk. But you could also just send me an email and then we could Zoom together and that would be our meeting. So our office, where it says office hours online by appointment, that's what I mean. If you need to talk about something, but most people honestly just email because, that's what we do in the modern era. So I, the only times I've ever had people physically come to office hours, it was never good. They just came in and yelled or somebody sent their parents once. Yeah, don't do that. That's extremely uncool. Don't send your parents. All right. I was a kid from Westlake, though. You can't trust those people, right? Okay. So I'll lecture to you and then I'll post it on the YouTube channel, which the stuff is there. And I'll probably just call your class 1301 8:30 a.m. Something very clever like that. And the other classes will be posted there too. So if you think, oh, she might be smarter in the afternoon, might be possible, you can check in on those as well. This is why course rationale, why you're taking the class, because you love US history or because it's required for every degree known to man. So it's probably the second one. The textbook, hopefully you found that online. They do have physical copies as well. I have a physical copy because I'm old and that's what we do. Give Me Liberty Volume 1. There's a combined volume, and I think when I first posted, I may have posted the link to the combined volume. If you got that, it has all the right chapters. It does. It just has the later ones as well. So sorry if I made you spend 10 extra dollars. I'm sorry. Sixth Siegel edition. It's relatively short textbook. It's pretty well written. It's a little unusual because it has a single author. Usually textbooks are a committee of people that write the stuff, and you'll notice that it has a single author because there's a theme that is consistent throughout the book, and it goes along with the title, Give Me Liberty. So Dr. Foner talks a lot about what does liberty mean or what does freedom mean to different people at different times? And how does the definition of freedom change over time in the United States? And this fellow is an emeritus professor at Columbia. I think he graduated from Harvard, but he's a pretty well-known US historian. He still lectures a lot today, writes consistently, and most people think he's quite good. So and if you haven't had a college history course before, I assume you have. Typically, the textbooks are a little more liberal than conservative. I think it's really hard to tell in 1301 because this is all the stuff before the Civil War. And, I don't think you notice liberal and conservative as much on those things. But you may from time to time. And you'll notice too when you take your college classes, history classes tend to be more conservative, more liberal. Economics, for some reason, more conservative typically, but you can occasionally have a really liberal economics professor. And then for whatever reason, in this area, government professors tend to be a little more conservative than liberals, what I've noticed, and I'll try to just hit the middle because you don't care about my politics. So hopefully we'll just talk about history, and there will occasionally be a political issue that might come up, but this is all the stuff before the Civil War. The only thing I'm going to say that will upset you is that the Civil War is primarily about slavery. And there was an eighth grade teacher at Cedar Park Middle School who was really popular, who quite emphasized quite a bit that the Civil War was really about states' rights and not slavery. So every time I say that to Cedar Park students, they go like, "No," and I go like, "Well, we'll talk about it." Okay, great. This will be the thing you probably care the most about because, that's the way we all are, or we often are. To get in, there'll be 300 points available, give or take. Um, and this probably will reveal that I'm not so much a math teacher. Um, there are going to be more than 300 points available. There are. There'll be 320 points because the book review is worth 20. But you don't have to do the book review, which is why I don't count it in the point total. And it's a point total, not a percentage. So when I do add the book review, excuse me, it will change the point total to 320 online. And then if you're figuring a percentage, it will upset you. But remember that the grade really is just a point total. So 90% of the points will get you an A, so 270, but you also have to do the book review because it's a department requirement. It's just a US history thing at ACC. Excuse me, I haven't talked to anybody in weeks, it seems. So, my throat. 240 to 269 is a B, 210 to 239 is a C, and below that you won't be happy. So don't worry about any of the stuff below. Please turn your stuff in on time, and we're going to talk about due dates here in a minute or two. If it's 5 minutes late, I don't care. If it's a week late, I'll probably care more. So try to be on time. If you know you're going to be a little late, let me know. But if it's 5 minutes, you don't have to email me at 12:05 on a Friday and say like, "Oh, it's 5 minutes late." I'll notice that when I grade it, and I won't care. So, plus I rarely answer my email at midnight on a Friday. Yeah. Okay. And I can give you a penalty if your work's late. I think last semester, the only time I did that were there's like two students that always turn their stuff in 2 weeks late. Like, dude, it's too much. All right, the book review you got to do if you want an A, or it can give you extra points. So if your average seems to be like 68 all the time, I would do the book review just to, give you that little extra, get me to a 70 kind of thing. And I think it's attached to the syllabus. It's also posted separately on the Blackboard site. So, and we'll go over that a little bit today. And we'll go over probably around spring break again. And I think there's a separate video on the YouTube page about the book review, but it seems to me like that video talks about books that are for the 1302 class. So yeah, I would probably suggest you can watch it, but it won't help you on the book choice. All right, course policies. You're supposed to come to class. Your high school folks will ask me occasionally if you're attending. I have to mark certain attendance documents for ACC, so try to come to class. We don't really have excused and unexcused absences like you do in high school. They're just absences. But if you know you're going to be gone, like someone emailed today and said, "Hey, golf tournament or something," and I said, "Hey, good luck." You don't have to. I mean, you don't have to tell me why you're gone, but you can. And especially if it's school related, I know you'll want me to, or you'll want to tell me because you won't want me to think you just slept in. Speaking of just sleeping in, if you're late, just log on. I'll let you in. If I'm late, crud, that's a problem, isn't it? So I'll do my best to be on time. Um, I think a couple of times last semester, my technology failed in the middle of class. If that happens, I will try to get back online. I sort of live in a black hole somewhere, so sometimes, the internet doesn't always work, but it only happened once or twice. And when it did happen, I was able to get back on. If that happens during class, I will usually be able to send an announcement so you can check your ACC email, and it might just say like, "We're done," or "Hang on, I'll be right back." So, or you can just wait and log on again. Okay. But your attendance, yeah, please come. And if you're absent, let me know. I would try not to just skip because you never know when you're going to get sick or something, you're not expecting comes up. So try really hard to come to class. That's what I would say. Okay. Oh, and I forgot to, if you type stuff into the chat, I will try to remember to check the chat and answer your questions. So, all right. Um, And if you end up like whoever the kid is on the golf team, I get that that's a I'll just say that's the terrible sport in the spring because you miss so much school with golf. And you're on the golf team. I don't want you to quit the golf team your senior year. So I'll be as understanding as I can. Just make sure when you're not doing a school related event that you're here. If you withdraw from the class, that's your job. There's some professors that will kick you out if you're flunking or if you miss 2 or 3 classes in a row. I'm not going to do that. There are some rules about how many classes you can withdraw from before it affects your tuition rates, but I believe you're exempt from those as a high school student. So the only reason you would want to withdraw is if you're failing and you don't think you can fix it. And you should probably know that by around spring break. I think April 26th is the last withdrawal date, but be sure and check the calendar, and your transition coordinator should also remind you of stuff. During class, this is really more for in-person stuff. My guess is you have your cell phone right next to you right now. Mine is too. I don't know why, because I'm not as social as young people. And the only person that normally texts me during class is my dad, because he forgets that I have a job. And it's never anything urgent. Although he did text one day in class after he had a surgery and he was in the recovery room. It's like, yeah, no. Um, but yeah, you're going to be on, your technology. So I should have changed that. So, um, but if you've got to do something or if you need to go to the bathroom or something, just turn the sound off and don't take your computer with you to the bathroom. That's going to be my suggestion to you. And as far as what you say in class or type, you can ask any questions. I'd rather you weren't swearing or being rude or anything like that, but and if it's a consistent issue, I'll let you know. But it rarely is. Yeah, rarely. I think once I've had to kick someone out of class because they were a jerk, but long time ago, and it was in person. um, your privacy is important, so I can't post your grades in a public forum. I can't talk to you about your grade in front of other people. I can't talk to your parents about your grade. I can talk to the transition coordinator about your grade because apparently you signed a waiver, at least that's what she says. But even with that, I probably won't talk to her about it unless you are just not turning stuff in. Your grades will be posted on Blackboard, so your grades won't be as secret, I promise. And I'll try to grade stuff relatively quickly so that you'll have a good idea of how things are going. And I trust, none of you guys are married. I have had people's spouses ask me if they're attending class. It's like, I'm out on that one. I think, yeah, they had some issues that I surely didn't want to get involved in. But I can't talk to your parents about any of this stuff unless you sign a waiver. And I know that you weren't coerced to sign the waiver. And yeah, so I probably would never talk to your parents, which is a little tricky because there are a couple of you whose parents I know, but I'll still tell them, ask your child. And I always tell students that live at home, as long as you live at home, even after, to be fair, you should be honest with your parents. If things aren't going well in class, just say like, hey, it's not going well, but I'll fix it. And they'll be really gracious with you, hopefully, and say like, if there's anything I can do to help, and yeah, or they'll go like, you better get that right, or I'll take the car keys away. Or you're not going to college, you're going to ACC for the rest of your life. I know ACC's college. It is. It's really affordable college. So, and for you, really good choice. Okay. Um, ADA, if you have a 504 IEP, you need to go through the Student Accessibility Services Office at ACC. If you haven't done that yet, you can ask your transition coordinator for assistance or your counselor at your school. And you can also look online and go there as well. So if I had people last semester, it was a really big problem last semester, more with my adult students than my high school students. But they would tell me like, well, I have ADD, so I should get extra time. And it's like, you don't have ADD unless the Student Accessibility Services says you have ADD, and they give me paperwork that says extra time. And they don't actually give it to me. This is a difference in college. You have to go online, or you have to talk to them, and they'll give you a form, and then you email the form to me. So if you don't have a form and you don't email it to me, then I don't know, it's not official until they say so. So talk to them. And if you don't know what a 504 and IEP is, you probably don't have one. And typical accommodations are like extra time, don't count off for spelling, provide written notes. The notes are online already. Most of the stuff isn't timed, or it's timed like you have an hour for 20 multiple choice questions. So most of the time you're going to get stuff done and it won't be a problem. But we'll know pretty quickly. And don't cheat. Yeah, don't cheat. College is different for cheating than high school. High school, I taught at Cedar Park High School for a pretty long time. I think it was 17 years. I think so. It was a long time. And every once in a while, I would turn a student in who was cheating. And then what usually happened is their parents got mad at me, and somebody mentioned they had a lawyer and I was going to ruin their child's future. And then a principal said, do you really have to push this? And then there would be like a policy where I drop your lowest grade. So that ended up being the grade that I dropped. In college, we just give you an F in the class. That's the best thing that will happen if you cheat. Now, because we're online, I have noticed different sorts of, we'll say, collaboration going on. And if your answers to the weekly questions are exactly like someone else's, that's an enormous problem, okay? So don't do that. I get that they might be similar because you're going to read the same stuff, you're going to hear the same lectures, but if they're word for word the same, that's an enormous problem. The biggest place I usually see plagiarism is the book review, where sometimes people just take the entire book review from the internet. And the book review is an optional assignment. So if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Okay, that's the best advice I have. Don't cheat on it, because it will take whatever your grade was before and turn it into an F for the entire class, not just the assignment. So cheating, very bad in college. And I think, as somebody who taught high school for a very long time, one of the worst things we did in high school is not punish you for cheating. Now, I was telling a friend about this. I remember a valedictorian at Cedar Park High School a long time ago, wouldn't have been somebody since you were there, who in his valedictory address pretty much told everybody, don't work so hard and cheat more often. It's like, dear Lord, we have really prepared that guy for the future. Yeah, and he wanted to be a medical student. It's like, yeah, I want a doctor who cheated his way through medical school. Gosh. Okay. All right. So cheating, don't do it. All right. Here we have a schedule, and um, I just tried to put the week of the class and when stuff is due. Now here is my big change from last semester, because if you had this class before online, or if you had somebody who was in my class, the 1302 last semester, it was different. And I'm going to explain to you why I made the change, because for some reason I think you need to know. What I did last semester is I had all the weekly questions due on the same day as the quiz. And what I noticed is the grades were really bad. That's what I noticed. The semester before, when we kind of went online on the fly, um, I had people turn in stuff every week and they hated it. And their reviews of me, like, she's terrible, she's the meanest thing ever, she makes us turn stuff in every week, and doesn't she know this is a pandemic, and I hate her, and you should fire her. And they were really good. They were really good reviews. But what I noticed is their grades were much higher. So I had to ask myself, do I want higher grades for the students, or do I want better reviews? Now, the truth is, I'd kind of like to have better reviews, because that's what my boss looks at and says, like, should we rehire her? And if all of my reviews are terrible, it's like, well, she kind of sucks. I don't know if we want her back. But I last semester, a bunch of people flunked, because especially the last unit, they just turned nothing in. And I think if you're a procrastinator, which I've been guilty of myself, um, if you put stuff off till the very last minute, if you've got 4 questions to do plus a quiz, and it's the same day that you have a physics test or this semester an AP exam, you're going to be so overwhelmed you just don't get stuff done. And the grades really were much better when people turn stuff in once a week. So with the exception of this first week, because I know you may not have your book yet, I'm going to go with you turning in your weekly questions every week on a Friday. Now, if you turn it in a few minutes late, or if you turn one in on a Saturday instead of a Friday, this is not an enormous problem. But it is an enormous problem if you don't turn these questions in, because it's half your grade. Now, the good news is you know the questions for half of your grade already, and you get to do that ahead of time. And you get to use your book to help you find the answer. I will expect that you will use your book. That's the whole goal, because the questions are really designed to be from the textbook. So I would so much prefer that than you looking at online sources that may or may not be as reliable. So, all right, but you'll have a question due every week, and then every 3 or 4 weeks, you'll have an online quiz. And then your online quiz, I'll put, hopefully, where it's available on Wednesdays. So you'll have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to take it. You'll have to take it all at once, and you'll need to set aside an hour. Honestly, probably 30 minutes will do it, but you'll figure that out after the first quiz. And at some point this week, it'll probably be Friday, I will give you a list of things to review for the quiz. So my goal is for this to be as straightforward as possible, for you to know what you're supposed to do ahead of time for the weekly questions. They're all already posted, I think. I'll double check here in a minute. And for the quizzes, for you within the first week or so to have a pretty good idea of what you should pay extra attention to while you're reading. And of course, these are the chapters I think you should read. So I think for the first unit, you should read the first 4 chapters, the second unit, the next 4, the third unit, the next 4, and then the last unit, sadly, only 3 chapters. And then there'll be 1 week where the book review's due, and there's not a weekly question due. And you don't have to do the book review, but there it is. Okay. So hopefully this is really clear. And when you're asking yourself, when is stuff due, just remember to look at the calendar section on the syllabus. Plus, I think it says in the assignments page as well. I tried to put some other dates in here that might matter to you. You probably aren't going to take the ACT the second semester of your senior year, but your campus, I think, gives it on the 30th. And I know that there are a couple of people in this class who aren't at Cedar Park High School, but I think everybody in this class, I think this is the class where everybody goes to Leander ISD. My other two classes, they're all mixed. I think this is it. I put the AP exam schedules just so you could plan ahead. The only thing, there's nothing really, that has to be done during class. So if you're not taking the US history exam, but if you're taking the computer science exam and you don't want to come to class on Thursday, May 6th, the class is going to be recorded. So just go online and watch it. So, on the days if you have an AP exam and either it's in the morning, so clearly you can't come, or it's in the afternoon and your thought is, I'd rather study German this morning than come to your class. I'm not offended by that. I got it. So you go ahead and do that and just go back and watch the recording. It'll be fine. But I just pasted, yeah, the list of AP exams in here so you can kind of double check. This Friday is the last day of our class, and the Thursday will be our last class meeting. And I know that some of you might be taking a government or a statistics exam. I got it. But again, the class will be recorded. The quiz is always due on a Friday. It'll be available on a Wednesday. So if you'll have time, you'll be able to plan. It should be okay. All right, book review. We'll go over this really quickly today and then probably in more detail later. But book review is a little different than a book report. So you're not just telling me what happened in the book. You're telling me why the guy wrote the book. Person. I'm from the Midwest, so guy to me means male or female. I'm not trying to be sexist at all, or any other. Yeah. Okay. So you'll read the book. And it has 3 sections. The book review has 3 sections. So, and there's a book list that you can choose from. That's the URL is there. I almost always tell my high school students, if you have no particular interest in anything at all, but somehow want to do the book review, or for reasons want to do the book review, I would just read the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass, because it's a really good book and it would be interesting and it's relatively short. But if you have interest in a specific subject, there should be a choice from the book list. But if not, just email me and say, like, you know what? I want to read a book about George Washington. Do you have any suggestions? And I'll send you a suggestion. If the book you choose isn't on the book list, I really just need for you to tell me, name an author, and I'll say like, okay, or I'll say no. Typically I say no to Hitler. I will always say no to Hitler in this class because he's really not before the Civil War. But the only 2 big requirements for the book list or for the book review, it has to have something to do with US history. I mean, it's a US history class. And it has to happen Civil War or before. It could happen during Reconstruction as well, but it has to happen before 1877. Okay, so that way it fits with the class. The book review needs to be about 1,500 words, which is about 4 to 5 pages, double space. And if you'll put the word count on there, that'll help me. The first part, and you can even label, your English teacher would hate this, but you can even label the book review part 1, part 2, and part 3 if you like. I don't care. But part 1 is what happened in the book, and that needs to be about a page long. Parts 2 and 3 need to be about a page and a half, 2 pages long. Part 2 talks about why did the author write the book? What is the author's thesis? And did the author prove their thesis? So if they say George Washington was the most important person in US history, and then you go through the book and show me places where they proved to you that George Washington was a crucial person in US history. That would be that'd be a pretty easy thesis to substantiate, I think. And quote portions of the book, small portions, to give me the idea that you read the book, to be honest. Okay. And then part 3 is your evaluation of the book. Did you like it? Did you not like it? How did it compare to stuff you already knew? How did it compare to stuff that's in your textbook? Um, is the author credible? Would you recommend it to other people? So this part gives me kind of more indication that you read the book. So really what I'm looking for is, did you read the book? That is really what I'm looking for. But for you to read the book, you want to pick a book that's interesting. So don't pick like the shortest book you can find, because it could be terrible. I had somebody read, oh goodness, they read Democracy in America, which is like 1,500 pages long. It's longer than your textbook. I just looked at them. I said, what in the world? And he says, I like that stuff. I like political philosophy. So if you like political philosophy, Democracy in America, I'm just saying, really long. But the length of the book should be a consideration, because you've got 6 or 7 other classes. But the most important thing should be, would it be interesting to you? So this is due early May, so you have a long time to think about this. To be honest with you, most people, I think, do this over spring break, which I know doesn't sound like a fabulous spring break activity, but it's when you have time. So I get that. But you may want to start thinking about this now, especially if you've got to go physically find a book, and look at the book list. And we'll talk about this closer to spring break, because that's when people are usually thinking more about it. There should also be a sample book review online. And the sample book review, I always put my husband's on there. That always sounds bad when I tell people, I use my husband's book review. My husband went to college much later in life. So when he was going to college, I would tell people, yeah, my husband's doing this assignment right now. And they go like, why are you married to an 18-year-old? Like, I'm not. He just didn't go to college till he was 38. So I know he won't give me any hard time about FERPA violation. So I always post his book review. It was pretty good. And it was from 1302, that book review. So I know you won't copy it. Due on, I think that's when the book reviews due, Friday, May 7th. Yeah, it says so there. Sorry, I'm scrolling back up. I don't mean to make you dizzy. Does that make you dizzy? Yep, Friday, May 7th. Okay. Because I think in the first version of the syllabus, I made it Monday, May 3rd, and then I thought, end of the week is good. And this is how to be graded. You'll get points up to 20. As long as you get some points, you passed. And there are extra points that go on to your point total. So, all right, that was a lot of stuff. Okay, it's almost time to go too, which is sad. And I honestly don't, oh gosh, I hate to be this bad about technology, but I honestly don't know if I can share the Blackboard page. That's the other thing that we should probably look at. But at this moment, while we still have 15 minutes, do you guys have any questions? Is there anything you want to ask? I know it's early.
I have a question, Professor.
All right, let's hear it.
So just to make sure that I heard right, we have quizzes and the weekly writings due on Friday, right? Each week.
One quiz every unit, so it's about every 4 weeks on the quiz, and then questions every week.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's a great question. And even if you're concerned that it's a bad question, you should always ask.
You posted a calendar that was supposed to download, but I don't think our LISD computers allow us to use Outlook, which is the program the calendar is on. So I wasn't able to get the calendar. So I don't know if maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I couldn't get it on my computer.
Okay, I'm just gonna say that if I put something on Outlook, that was I don't know how, I didn't mean to. I don't know. But it may just be that the due dates kind of migrate to Outlook. But I think that does happen, because every once in a while my phone dings and it says I have something due from ACC. But I didn't do that on purpose. And all of the due dates are in that document we just looked at, which hopefully you have access to. So I'm sorry if I freaked you out with Outlook, because I don't even know how that happened.
So we don't really need the calendar, basically.
Well, you don't need
Go
to
with it.
add it to anything. You just need to turn stuff in on time. I don't know if that was helpful, but
But the dates are all in the syllabus, correct?
yes, yeah, for
Awesome.
sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry if I made that more confusing than it needed to be. Okay. Let me see if I can figure out how to share the page. Oh, it says I can't do that. Well, that's just rude. Don't you hate it when you have like the super old teachers and they don't know what they're doing? Super old teachers who get confused. Hmm. Hmm. Let me try this thing. This might work. It might not. But what I'm going to try to tell you and hopefully show you is all the stuff on the Blackboard page. Now, I assume that this is not your first ACC class and you've used Blackboard before. I know that sometimes professors don't use Blackboard very much. To me, it just sort of makes sense to use it because it's there and everyone has it. So let me see if I did this right. I don't think I did. Dang it, Cerna. Err. Dang. Poo-poo. One more try. Sorry, one more try. Portion of screen, file, no file. Hmm. I don't know what to do. Can you guys go to your Blackboard page? Can you guys log on to that? Or have you done that yet?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Do you guys mind doing that? And then, because I know your page and my page look a little different anyway, but I really just kind of wanted to point out that there are some things, it says I can't do that either. There are some things available on the Blackboard page that might be useful to you. So hopefully you have a section that says announcements and course documents and a syllabus and assignments. Hopefully you see all of those things. And I think there's a section somewhere that says grades as well, but you don't have any of those yet. So the announcements will be where I post anything that changes or the link to the Zoom meetings, which clearly you guys were able to find, or you got that through your ACC email. On the course documents page has the full list of all the weekly questions. It has a sample weekly question answer. And then it has the lecture notes that I'll use during class. And then it has, I don't know why I put these here, but sometimes students like them. It has the publisher resources, which is really just summary of the chapter, a chapter outline, and then some resources that you could check if you want more information online. It has those for each unit, and then it starts over with the next unit with the lecture notes and the resources. And I really just put all of the weekly questions in one document at the very top of the course documents page. So all of the weekly questions for the entire class should be there already. On the syllabus page, hopefully there's the syllabus. That was the whole idea. So, and that's where you can find the calendar where it says when everything is due. And then on the assignments page, I should have the weekly question and when it's due. I don't have the quizzes up yet because I don't. But when I put them up, I will let you know. That will be usually the Wednesday before they're due. And I will add at some point this week, again, I said probably Friday, a list of things to study for the unit quizzes, which happen every 4 weeks. And I'll probably do those one unit at a time. But I think I have all of the weekly questions and their due dates posted already on the assignments page, plus the book review. And I think, let me look on the course documents page really quick. I think the sample book review, is at the bottom of the course documents page. Yeah. So there's a ton of stuff that should be available for you on the Blackboard page. So if you haven't logged into Blackboard, you've really got to figure out how to do that, because I'm trying really hard to make this incredibly straightforward, where you can see everything you need, where you have, even the lecture notes that I'll use during class. So you can either print those out if you're old school or save them as a document, and then you can add your notes as we go along. So, and the textbook really should be the main source of your information. I think beyond that, the book review, you would read an extra book if you want to, but I think you and the textbook and my lectures hopefully will give you everything you need. But sorry that I wasn't able to show you, but hopefully you were able to find it. Were you able to find it? If not, will you go and log in before the next class and kind of scan through that so you can see where the stuff is? Maybe. Sorry, some weird message on my phone. All right. Ooh, something in the chat. I'm so excited. Oh, that's a good question. How do you access the book? That's a great question. You can buy the book online and then they'll give you a code that gives you access to it. I think they'll also give you a 2-week trial where you can get the book for free for 2 weeks. So if you have some program at your school where maybe they'll buy the book for you, but maybe you need the 2 weeks for free, I think you can go through that way. Last semester, there was someone who was able to find the entire book online for free because someone posted it, which is highly illegal, which is why if I do find it, I wouldn't post it. But if you guys find it, you could share it with each other. There was a version of it online for a long time, for like 2 or 3 years. And then in the middle of the semester, I think the publisher found out last year, so they took it down. It was through a university in Florida. Florida, they don't think rules apply to them. Florida. And I was looking at all the people that got arrested in some of the Capitol riots and demonstrations, and so many of them were from Florida. And I have a friend who's a professor in Florida, and I always tell her, it's like, thanks for making us look good. You guys do all the crazy stuff there. Let's keep it that way. I like it. Or you can buy the book. The book, I would assume you would buy it and they would mail it to you in the modern era. I have no idea if Half Price Books is even open anymore. No. But they might also have a copy of it. Also, I think your school uses this book, but they use the 5th edition for AP US History. So you might be able to borrow it from one of your AP US History friends who's never opened it anyway. I say that because I used to teach AP US History at Cedar Park High School. Or you could go see that nice fellow, Mr. Marsh. Maybe he's got a spare copy. Or if you're buddies with whichever principal hands out the books, or maybe Miss Hexter would let the school give you a copy of the AP book, because it's the same book, 5th edition, which isn't dramatically different. It would be okay. It would work out. So those are all my options. Try to sweet talk someone at your school to get a free physical copy. Go online. I think to rent it or to get access, it's like $35 for the semester. And if you've got a program where they buy your book for you, because I know that happens sometimes, talk to Ms. Hexter about that. That may have been too long of an answer, but hopefully it was helpful. All right. Do you guys have any other questions before we go? Sadly, it's almost time to go. Next time, we'll actually talk about people coming to the pre-United States. I was reading some article the other day about how when we talk about colonization, we ignore that people who weren't British come over. It's like, yeah, maybe. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. There's a reason we emphasize the British people, but we like the other folks too. Especially in Texas, my goodness. Yeah. All right. Do you guys have any other questions, concerns before? Because your boss said you can only stay till 9:35 because you got to get on the road. So, listening to some weird noise. I think they're picking up the recycling. All right. If you have other questions, you can stay and ask. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now.